It's been 2 years since Enies Lobby, and the crew trust Robin just as much as any other member, and she can truly trust them as well. Usopp approaches Nico Robin, curious. "Hey Robin, remember that time Sanji and I had you at gunpoint in Whiskey Peak? You offered Luffy an eternal pose, saying that it would give him a safe route to Alabasta. But if he ignored it, his next island would surely be Little Garden, where you warned we'd be doomed. We couldn't tell if you were helping us for unknown reasons or if it was a trap. Because Luffy destroyed it, we never found out. But since you're no longer our enemy, I have to ask, was it a trap after all?" Nico Robin chuckles, fondly thinking of how odd it is that she found her friends in such a strange way. She says simply, "It was a trap, but also not a trap. I wanted to know the character of your captain, and I got what I wanted." Usopp stands there, confused. How could she say that? It could have been an ambush, an island even more dangerous than Little Garden, a dead end, or it could have also truly been a safe haven. He can't figure it out. Luckily, we the audience can piece together this puzzle and make sense of Robin's response. Let's start with the eternal pose Robin gave the crew. The pose claims to point to an island called NANIMONAI, which simply means Island of Nothing. The name of the island implies it is devoid of danger, but also devoid of adventure, excitement. If what Robin says about it is true, it is likely a completely barren and uninhabited island, one that cartographers haven't even put on the map. Unfortunately for the crew, Luffy hates that sort of boredom more than the danger of death. But how could an island be undiscovered, yet have an eternal pose? Is there a secret society that knows about it? Perhaps Robin used her archaeological skills to uncover it herself and make an eternal pose. The more likely possibility is that Robin is lying. At least, that's what the crew would have thought back then. Today, we know Robin is a kind, friendly, loving person. And even if she saw the Straw Hat Pirates as an enemy, it's unlikely she would have pulled such a dirty trick on them. So instead, we have to think outside the box and wonder how an island could be so unknown that even Baroque Works doesn't know about it, yet discovered enough to get an eternal pose made for it. Based on the map of the Grand Line, there is one possibility that poses most likely. Since the island would be on the way to Alabasta, we can assume it's not much of a detour from Little Garden. If it was farther away from Little Garden than Whiskey Peak, they'd be going out of their way. If it's farther away from Little Garden than Alabasta, they would pass their destination. Knowing it's that close to Little Garden, the next mystery is how it's less known than Little Garden. I mean, the Straw Hats could have run into the island by accident on their way to Alabasta, and anyone could have for hundreds of years. But it'd be easy to miss if it wasn't an island at all. You might say, wait, how could NANIMONAI not be an island? All islands on the Grand Line have a specific magnetic pull. If it was not an island, it wouldn't have a magnetic signature. And if it was a magnet, it wouldn't have a specific enough frequency for an eternal pose to log. The only possibility is if it was an island that turned into something else. What's one way that could happen? It could get eaten through the digestive system of a beast larger than the island. The island could slowly get digested and come out as something much less habitable. That's right, an island that's entirely poop. A loving One Piece fan might recall a story Usopp would share in Syrup Village to Kaya. He claimed that on one adventure he landed onto what he thought was an island, but it turned out to be the hot, steaming crap of a giant goldfish. It seemed to be obviously a lie. Even sea beasts don't seem large enough to eat entire islands. There is one monster in the ocean that people have claimed is big enough to eat an island. Dory and Broggy, the two giants colliding in Little Garden, recalled to each other as they slashed a giant goldfish how they once landed on what they thought was an island, but turned out to be this very creature's feces. Hence, the name of this monster is the Island Eater. Sound familiar? It's the exact same story Usopp said, but it happened to giants. and it also happened near Little Garden. This means that the fecal matter the giants landed on would be somewhere along the route between Whiskey Peak and Alabasta. Considering 300-foot-tall giants mistook this poop for an island, it's safe to assume the poop contained part of, if not, an entire island. This poop would therefore contain the former island's magnetic signature. This would allow it to be discovered by log poses and recorded by eternal poses. However, anyone who would happen upon this island would quickly turn around. Whether it's the smell or the feel of the ground, they'd eventually realize what they're walking on. Even if a cartographer happened upon the island, they would dictate that it's not technically an island and exempt it from their map. This would mean it's impossible for Crocodile and Baroque Works to know about the island and expect Luffy to take this route and ambush him. And while it'd be an unpleasant experience to say the least, it would not technically pose a danger to the Straw Hats greater than being on Little Garden. In one sense, this was a trap for Luffy. If Luffy wanted the safest and fastest way to Alabasta, he would have accepted the Eternal Pose and headed for NANIMONAI. Once they discover what a horrible thing they've docked onto, they would ultimately decide that they have no choice but to stay on the island until the log pose resets. Nami would realize she remembered hearing about Little Garden in her book Bragman, and insist it's too dangerous to take a chance on it. From that point, there would be no danger for the crew. Mr. 3 wouldn't find them, Nami wouldn't get a sickness from an extinct disease, and they would sail to Alabasta with no issues, not even going to Drum Island along the way. Though, once they face Crocodile, they'll all, inevitably, still have the unwashable scent that comes with wandering around an island of fecal matter. Everybody will notice, and the crew will be in shame of their life choices. What's even worse is Sanji would have never intercepted a call from Crocodile, allowing him to deceive Crocodile and save his hostage crew as the iconic Mr. Prince. Okay, that wouldn't happen. Crocodile would still have not known Sanji was part of the crew. Sure, Robin could have spilled the beans, but she didn't do that in the story either, so it doesn't seem to be in character for her. However, Chopper would not have joined the crew, which likely would have led to Usopp failing to defeat Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas. Would that result in the crew ultimately failing to stop Baroque Works? Who can say for sure? But if anything's certain, it's that it was already a very close call in the story, so I wouldn't risk anything else having gone wrong for the crew. In another sense, this wasn't a trap at all. The ultimatum Robin was giving Luffy was truly what he perceived it to be, an exciting adventure or a boring adventure. Robin knew that he could fail or succeed going either route. He could die from the dangers of Little Garden or prevail. He could push through the unpleasantness of NANIMONAI or give up. It all depended on his strength and his character. This is why Robin set up the ultimatum, to get a glimpse of Luffy's strength and character, to give him an ordeal before he goes to war with Crocodile. However, he did not simply choose one or the other as Robin had expected. He chose Little Garden, not simply because it was an exciting or dangerous choice, not because he believed Robin was deceiving them, but because he alone decides what the Straw Hat Pirates do. It was a choice with a reason that Vivi, Nami, or any of the others would not have made. It told Robin about Luffy's character more than she could have ever expected. And so, what is a mystery to Usopp is now crystal clear to us. In Baroque Works, Robin did not act as a devious villain who was so low as to try and defeat Luffy with dirty tricks, but she was also not a kind-hearted double agent, acting explicitly to aid the Straw Hat Pirates and betray Crocodile. She was simply doing her duty in the agency, but wanted to figure out what kind of people the Straw Hat Pirates were, out of curiosity. It's amazing that a plot detail like this could be totally missed by the audience if it weren't for Syrup Village and Usopp's story, Whiskey Peak and Robin's ultimatum, Little Garden and Dory and Broggy's story, and Enies Lobby and the reveal to us that, beyond all doubt, Robin has never meant to betray or deceive the Straw Hat Pirates from the start. She's a good person. Without all of these things combined, the hypothesis that Robin could have potentially sent the Straw Hats through an island of poop to get to Alabasta in time would not make any sense. In that way, this is a poop joke that took 375 chapters to tell.